Hey everyone, Chris here from IELTSadvantage.com. Hope that you're all doing well. And in this video, we're going to talk about the official IELTS marking criteria. And these are really useful for you because every single examiner uses the exact same marking criteria to correct your speaking test and your writing test. It doesn't matter which country you're in or what city you're in or what level you're at, it's the exact same criteria. So we can use these to help us prepare for the test and help us improve our scores. And I want to share with you an analogy that I was using with my VIP students, and it really helped them understand the marking criteria and, more importantly, understand how they could use the marking criteria to help them prepare for the test. So these are the speaking marking criteria: fluency and coherence, pronunciation, grammar and vocabulary. It's called like grammatical range and accuracy and lexical resource on the official marking criteria, but let's just keep it as simple as possible. And for writing, task response, sometimes called task achievement, coherence and cohesion, grammar and vocabulary. And there are some big problems with how students use these and how students think about the test. So I want you to think about the human body. So I want you to think about the different systems and the different organs that are in the human body. This will make sense in a couple of minutes. But think about the different organs we have. So we have the heart, we have the lungs, we have the liver, we have the kidneys, and they're all doing a job, and they're all doing their own little individual job, but their main job is to keep us alive. And think about the different systems that we have in the body. So we have the respiratory system. It's difficult to pronounce. The respiratory system, the immune system, the vascular system, the nervous system. All of these different systems integrate with each other and with the different organs in the body. And the thing about those different organs and systems is if one of them is in trouble, so if you're having problems with your heart or your liver, then the whole thing is going to be in trouble, and you probably will be either very, very sick or you're going to die. So this is very, very similar to how the marking criteria works. You're not focusing just on one thing. You have to focus on everything as a whole. So each of these different things contributes to your overall score, but a big mistake that I see students making is just focusing on one or two things. So for example, you'll often hear students talk about vocabulary. So they'll talk about, if I learn a long list of words, and if I learn lots of different words and phrases and idioms and all of these different things, then I'm going to get a high score. Or you'll hear students talk about structure. So you'll hear them say things like, if I use this structure, magically I'm going to get a high score. That's a bit like a doctor saying, if we just focus on your liver and we ignore everything else, we ignore the heart and we ignore the lungs and we ignore the immune system and we ignore the respiratory system, then everything else will be okay. Just like the human body, you need to focus on all of these things. And I know for many of you that's not something that you want to hear, because it means that you have to get good at everything, but that's the only way to get the score that you need. So if you need a 7 or above for speaking, you need to be good at all of these things. So imagine, let's use speaking as an example. Imagine you were very fluent, you were coherent, your grammar was great, and your vocabulary was great, but you had a big problem with pronunciation. If you have a big problem with pronunciation, the examiner is not going to be able to understand if you're using grammar and vocabulary correctly, and it also could cause problems for coherence. Let's think of another example for writing. Let's say you answered the question properly, everything's coherent, everything's cohesive, you're pretty good use of vocabulary, but you have a big problem with grammar. So if you have a big problem with grammar, this can also affect vocabulary, because you might not know how to use those words and phrases within a sentence. And it also will really affect your coherence, because it will be very difficult for the reader, for the examiner, to understand what you've put on the paper. So just like if you have a problem with, say, your lungs or your respiratory system, that will affect the whole human body. If you have one big problem within each of these, then that is going to affect your whole performance. So it's not about just focusing on one thing. It's more about identifying your problem areas. So just like if you went to the doctor, so if I went to the doctor and I said, you know, I'm feeling really, really sick, the doctor would not just say, okay, doesn't matter, just go to the graveyard and die. It wouldn't be like that. What the doctor would do is they would identify the key reasons, the symptoms, and the actual parts of the system that have problems. That's the way that you should start thinking about your IELTS performance. So for the speaking test, how's your fluency? How's your coherence? How's your pronunciation? How's your grammar? How's your vocabulary? For writing, are you answering the question properly? How's your coherence and cohesion? How's your grammar? How's your vocabulary? So just like taking your car to the mechanic wouldn't just throw your car away if there was something wrong with it. They would identify the key things and fix the key things, the things that are wrong with the car, in order for the whole car to work. So you need to start doing that with your IELTS performance as well. So in the speaking test, how are these things? Identify your problem areas, and the same with the writing test. And my advice would be to focus on your biggest problems first. So there's no point working on things that are pretty good, or, you know, a lot of people have, you know, excellent grammar, excellent vocabulary, excellent pronunciation, but they really need to work on their fluency. If your pronunciation is really good, like many of you, you know, I listen to students every single day, but your fluency needs a bit of work, there's no point working on your pronunciation. If you went to the doctor and you had a broken leg, and there was nothing wrong with your heart, they wouldn't give you medicine for your heart. They would fix your broken leg. So identify the key reasons why you're not getting the score you need. Use the marking criteria to help you do that, and then you'll be able to fix your problems, turn your weaknesses into strengths, and continue to do that. And if you continue to do that, you'll get the score that you need. Hope that you find that useful. My VIP students said that it was really useful. I was talking to a few of them, and they said that analogy helped them understand what they needed to do. Hopefully it helps you too. If you like this video, like it, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do with it. And if you need more advice, go to IELTSadvantage.com, or feel free to send me an email, chris@IELTSadvantage.com. Thanks very much, guys. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.